I wouldn't necessarily say I'm in a better mood, but I wanted to talk about something. So here I am. What I was thinking about, so, there's all these different people who I know splitting up. Like I've talked about that already. And I'm still so disgusted about this Charles thing. I swear to God. I swear to God, I would just as soon make out with Ted Bundy on his deathbed or, go over and eat dinner with Jeffrey Dahmer as he made me up his specialty, or even go play hide and go seek with Gacy before I'd ever shake hands with that son of a bitch, Charles. Like, and just the way the people were just like so desperate to, just let me touch you. It's like, oh God. So, anyways, there's been all this splitting up, and it's had all this different stuff about relationships and stuff on my mind. And so I was looking for something to watch, try and fix my mood. I'm sitting here crocheting baby blanket. I've got several to make, so and I was cooking up some stir fry. So, anyways, I am doing other things besides just sitting here stewing away. But I put on this, which by the way, so the wind is just whipping out here. It's like freaking huge gust, and I'll hear it coming from a ways, which I think is some sort of wind machine. Like I had talked about when I was at my mom's, I said it was the weirdest thing I had never heard before. And she said that she's heard it a lot of times, so that they can hear the wind coming a certain way. Maybe it just has one little entrance and that's the only way in, and it makes a big sound. It sounds like a train coming closer and closer. But anyways, it's getting these same weird sounds here with the wind. And I ran up to the store. I got paid today, so I ran up and got some joints because it was like, shit could go down this weekend. I'm gonna be stuck here, no joints. So I ran up there and got some. And the guy there, it was so smoky, I couldn't believe it, so much smoke. And so it was smoky and windy. Okay, so I asked the guy who was working there, I said, do you know where the fires are? And he said there's like 5, like we're kind of surrounded by fires. So, and then they got the wind going and all these dead trees. It's not going to take a lot to knock some of these trees and block our route. So you have that. And then, which I'm going to stay put unless I have no choice. I'm going to stay put. If the trees go down in my yard, I'll just wait. I do have food. I got creamer while I was out. I got tea bags. And my honey will be here in the morning. I think I wanted to get some more herbs and stuff. But as long as I have my honey and my tea and my cream, I'll be good. So, because I could just drink that. I could live off of that if it came down to it. But anyway, so whatever, but the wind, then it goes through and moves the fires. They have a whole thing they do. And it is so aggravating when you see through their games, you see through their nonsense. And I was thinking, when you talk to some of these people and stuff, I was thinking, I bet you some of these people are staying asleep because this is fucking hard. This is so fucking hard. And these people who can't handle much, I can see, like, to sit here today with all this wind, especially I've got the PTSD from the tornadoes when I was growing up, horrible. And so the wind gets going and it starts getting me just like panicky feeling. And so sitting in here, with the wind and the fires and knowing what they're doing, and you just have to stay calm and just be like, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'll deal with what happens when it happens. There's nothing I can do about it. And that's the hard part about having awareness, and seeing the truth, is because then like what's going down. And so, you have to really keep yourself from freaking out and panicking, and keep yourself stable, because if you start panicking, well, you're gonna look crazy because there's so many people around who don't even know anything's going on. But you start panicking, that's when you make mistakes and get hurt, because you guys just got to keep in mind nothing can happen unless it's meant to happen. Which, I just saw this girl talking, and she said, and I thought there's a lot of people out here telling people this, about you can make whatever you want to happen. Whatever you want, you can make it happen. If you want it bad enough and you put out the energy that you want it to, it will happen. And, I was thinking, okay, so one side of that is true that, you do have to want your best. You do have to look at it a certain way. But that doesn't mean you can make whatever you want to happen. That's out of our control. And that is where we have to go in and come to peace in our own lives, kind of, because we can think we know what's supposed to happen or what we want to happen or whatever, but we can't make it happen. And then to tell people that they can, and that it's just something wrong with them. If it's not working right for you, it's just something wrong with you. You just got to do it right. That's just not true. I mean, if it weren't for fate and destiny, maybe so. But, you have certain people that come, everything is to the minuscule second, how people interact and come into each other's lives for purpose. It is for the purpose of growth. And, and those are all soul contracts. Every single interaction is soul contracts. So how was that all set up? It was set up by design. And it wasn't set up on well, maybe if they do this today, that'll happen. Maybe it'll work out that way. No. It is a scripted event. You're actually in a movie on a script. So don't get caught up in feeling like, well, I want this to happen and it's not happening. So something's wrong with me. I'm not doing it right. I got to do this different. Oh, yeah. There's so much to just allowing life to happen. And so, and that is basically what I'm having to sit here and do, is just let life happen. Even though I know that we're under attack all the time and you just don't know where it's going to go and what's going to happen. I still have my suitcase and they're ready to go. I have a bunch of shoes out. I'll just start throwing them in bags. And, what are you going to do? And so it is very much that I think you have to, it is a managing of your emotions and keeping yourself under control, and just keep kind of telling yourself, okay, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. It's out of my hands and I know I'm safe. I know I'm okay. I'm in a movie. How could I get hurt? I'm in a movie. So that is kind of like, you got to come up with your own things to calm yourself down. But anyways, none of that was what I was going to talk about. What I was going to talk about was, so I turned on this movie, and it's that old one in 1994, Brian Dennehy, back when he was in a whole lot of movies. I really liked him. He could be a total weirdo. I ate some celery now. I feel like I got celery in my teeth. So, anyways, so if he could be a weirdo. Any of them. Any people out there can be weirdos. We got weirdos living next door. All of us have people who are, weird and strange. We just don't know them because we don't really have any community structure. But anyways, back to this whole thing with this movie. So I started watching this movie, and it was this relationship. So he's married, happily married to Blythe Danner, and they have one kid, and they're really well off. He's an architect. And I think she was a stay-home mom, and it was kind of like so many women. They're just kind of like on autopilot. They're just doing what they're supposed to do, doing what is expected, doing what is programmed. And so she's just living this programmed life, but she's happy. She has a good attitude. She loves her husband. She looks at the good things in life. She looks at all the things she has gratitude for. So she has a really good attitude, right? And the husband and her were really close. And then something happened, I'm not sure, between him and this work partner, that they ended up having an affair and falling in love. And so then the work person got leukemia and was dying. And so he left his wife so he could go spend the last days with this other woman. But he told his wife, well, I really want to come back when this is over. I really love her. I got to be with her in her dying, but I want to be back because I love you too. And so, she was kind of messed up a bit, but she was still kind of like, okay, well, everything's going to be fine. We'll get back together. But, she was processing her pain. Like, I saw her doing a lot of different things and conversations and stuff. So she wasn't just totally in denial, but she had that certain attitude. And then her mom got really sick. So she went up to see her mom, and her mom was had a heart attack and was in the hospital, but she was fine. She ended up getting out just perfectly fine. But when she was in there in the hospital, and she told her daughter that her dad had always had a mistress for 20 years. He was in another relationship, and the daughter, Blythe Danner, was just shocked. And then the mom said, but don't worry, I had a great life. I went and traveled. I went and I had all my own relationships. I didn't let it bother me. I just didn't really care. I just lived my own life. But that really hit Blythe Danner. And so she was like, hell no, I'm not doing this. And she started changing. She started developing herself. And she started growing. She went back and started working again in a museum. And then she changed her wardrobe, how she was dressing, how she was presenting herself. She was a lot more relaxed. She was a lot more defined as a person, as a character. And she started doing all of this work at her house, completely redoing her house. And it ended up that the guy who came out, the construction guy, and her started seeing each other. But she just went in a whole nother direction. But see, she wouldn't have ever found herself if it wouldn't have had all of that stuff happening. And that's what I keep seeing in these different relationships that I see falling apart. Because I know there's somebody in pain. I was there before, I had somebody leave me, and it was very unexpected. And, and it totally devastates you. You start asking all these questions. And then it always comes down to, were we happy? No, we weren't happy. So why was I willing to stay? Just because he threw in the towel first, and then I have no reason to be mad or upset about that. To me, it was like, fuck yeah, I'm glad he did. But at first, it took a minute to get there. And so that, you got to go through that process, but then you do start finding yourself, a self that you would have never known if all of that stuff wouldn't happen, because bad creates good. It's an energy. It's the way things move. It's the way energy interacts. And so, then you go in and you get to find who you are. You get to develop yourself. And so, that's what this woman did. And then the relationship was no longer a good fit for her. She had outgrown it. And that's what keeps happening in all these relationships. People outgrow each other. And then because we come from such dysfunctional backgrounds, people become desperate. They feel rejected, neglected, let down. All of these emotions that we have had pinned up inside of us, they just come pouring out of us, and we're devastated. And it is all that whole thing is the cleaning up, to figure out who we are. Like, think about how many men do you know who got split up or got divorced and, never learned to cook when they were a kid, because, their dad was taking them out in the garage, showing them how to fix things and which tool was which and what to do to change the oil in the car or whatever. And the mom, the son wasn't all excited. Hey, mom, show me how to cook. And so he didn't really learn how, and the mom wasn't thinking about that. A lot of moms don't think of that. And they just expect, well, a woman will come into his life who knows how to cook. And so it is just kind of something that is like disregarded. And so then the man gets married and becomes dependent on the woman for certain things. Like, there's men who have gotten divorced who don't know how to do laundry. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean. They don't know how to take care of themselves. And they just were totally dependent on someone taking care of them, just like their mom did. And then they want to know, like, what happened in my relationship? Well, nobody wants to be your parent. People are looking for partners. And as people grow and become more of themselves, they have higher needs, and they need a deeper relationship. They don't want to just be somebody's parent and somebody's maid. somebody's just paycheck. So, and there's so many men who have said that. It ends up coming down to they feel like they're just a paycheck for somebody. And so, it's the things that happen with people in relationships. And so, a lot of men, they don't know how to do some of this stuff, and then they get split up. And, how many men go in with the resilience to go like, well, I'm going to learn how to cook. I'm going to learn how to cook. And I'm going to learn how to take care of myself. I can fucking do some laundry. All I got to do is Google it, look it up, ask somebody, how do you do it? Look up how the machine works. I mean, it's just kind of simple. But, that it's people's own roadblocks of not believing in themselves. But see, then when things fall apart, you get this opportunity to show yourself what you're made of. Which direction you're going to go. Are you going to just become like, just get a 6-pack, maybe a bottle of whiskey every night, go home with a frozen pizza and, cry in your empty beer cans? So, or are you going to, maybe go out and take a class, learn how to cook, meet some other people, maybe meet some more divorced people and start interacting, maybe grow, form a friend group and start meeting up at people's houses, and people cook different dinners and everybody bring a friend. So everybody gets to meet different people. Like there's so many different things that people can do to develop when these things happen. But a lot of people just, get in that whole thing of feeling like they're not good enough. And then they just will keep telling themselves that they're not good enough. And, but that is the whole thing. It is your resilience. It's what you are made of. It's what your soul is trying to understand about itself, And, it's already done. It's already happened. It's not like you can mess up or break it or do it wrong. It is just your higher self watching what has already happened. And I know that's a hard concept to wrap your head around. But anyways, so I thought that movie was really interesting because it showed a lot of different stuff about relationships and interactions and made a lot of good points. Like the woman who, or Blythe Dan, or her friend at work was cheating on her husband. And so it had lots of different conversations. It was really good. I liked it. And at first, when I turned it on, I did something with the music. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And I got up and started doing something. And then there was some conversation or something that caught my mind or caught my eye or whatever, caught my ear. So I did watch it and I really liked it. And especially because this was already on my mind, because that is always what they do. They show me something and then they show me stuff on top of that. And so this morning, on top of all the other things I saw that I consider to be like, it's just, I don't know. I want to say idiocracy, but it sounds so judgy, but it really is just so much ignorance out there, and what people are just willing to accept. People are willing to accept abuse to remain in a constant so they don't have to deal with change. So they just, they'd rather just live in hell than take a risk, So anyways, this was a very attractive woman. And, I mean, I think most men would look at her and think she's really attractive. She had really long, brown, wavy hair. She had nice eyes. There was nothing where you would look at her and go like, oh, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? She was just, pleasant to look at. And so, she had, I think she said she had one kid, and her husband and her had been married 26 years. They got together as teenagers. Like a lot of relationships are having this happen. Got together very young, and then has stayed together this whole time, and been together 26 years. And so she's telling this story, and he never worked. He never really did anything. And she owned a business, and then he had things that he wanted. So he all of a sudden, I guess, decided he wanted to learn how to fly a plane. He wanted to be a pilot. She said it just came out of the blue. And so she said, okay, and he started doing the classes or whatever and putting all that money and time into that. And then the lockdowns happened and that stopped out. So he needed her to buy him a plane. So she got another business and bought him a plane, $75,000, and bought him a plane so he could finish his hours and become a pilot. And, and she said he would never do anything around the house, would never help anything. He was always, just kind of a empty vessel, a whiner, somebody take care of me, and then, she did. And then it's 50 hours until he completes his requirements to get his pilot's license. And, he decided he wants to separate, that he's not feeling it anymore. And she was really upset. She was super devastated. Like, oh my God, I've done all this stuff for him. And he had now it's this, and now it's that. And all of the debt and stuff. And, and I could totally feel her pain, like, because that was my last relationship. I couldn't believe oh my God, I could not believe how many cars, how many different, like, whole tool setups that are like $1,000, car after car. Like, he was an empty vessel. He constantly needed another thing. He couldn't take care of himself. He was a person who, I just gotta say what it is. It was somebody, if you're drunk all the time, then I would call you a drunk. And so, a drunk who was always whining and crying, or if he wasn't whining and crying, he was angry and having a fit. And I'd keep trying to hold on to this relationship for some unknown reason. And so, and then when he left me, when I got back after making that movie, and he left, and I was really upset there for a while, but it was something I needed so badly. And, and I wasn't willing to do it for myself. Somebody else had to do it for me. So it was a blessing in disguise. And then my life did go in another direction. And I've developed myself. I've developed my own life. I've become a completely different person than I was when I was with him. Like, I can't even imagine staying with somebody who would even talk down to me, staying with somebody who would just rather sit and be drunk at night than spend time with me. Why would I have put up with that? And that's where you have to go through all of your work, your dark night, where you have to face yourself, face your demons, all the things that scared you when you were a kid, and you have to face that stuff so you can heal it. And so, it was a blessing for me. I'm so happy that I'm not still living in the situation I was living in with this person. But as I see all these different women on here, always just looking for someone to, talk to them as like they're just victims in their life and they're in a situation that they can never get out of. I look at it as like, it's so sad to me, because the being forced into it, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And there's so many of us who won't do it for ourselves. And it is a lucky thing when somebody does it for you. And when this woman was explaining her life with this man, my comment was like, congratulations to get out of jail. Like, what are you going to do with your life? Like, what in the hell? Do not be sad about this. This is a blessing. Like, Jesus Christ, your life's about to take off in a whole new direction. And that's so exciting. And, and that is how I feel for all of these different people who are being left and split up and stuff like that. They just don't know how exciting it really is for them. But they have to make that choice, is that they want to see, where's this going to go? Who am I? What's going to happen now? Or, am I just going to sit here and get drunk and feel sorry for myself and, just rot away in my own despair and misery? It's up to each person. It's what's inside. It's your drive. It's your ambition to succeed. It is what makes you who you are. And so, anyways, I just had that stuff on my mind, especially with all these different relationships around me. And then, I turned that on after I just heard that woman saying that. And so, really think about the, in their relationships. I know lots of people are just in relationships that just become kind of just exist. There is nothing to it. They just exist. They just pay bills together and, eat dinner together sometimes. But that's not really a relationship, especially when you go watch that one about the where the crawdads sing, when you see that relationship that is truly of love, like they don't need anything else. They just need each other just to hang out and talk and, look at a flower together and to just go out and enjoy being alive together. And, I mean, we all want somebody who's like that, not just checking their phone to see if there's something better going on than talking to you. So there is a lot, that's breaking apart in our lives. Relationships are a big part of it. It's fracturing families. All of these different things can be fixed, but in the relationships that you're being pushed out of, don't feel bad and be sad. Like, process it. Feel bad and feel sad and go through that, but don't get stuck and then go into despair and stuff, because it really is a whole new door is opening up for you, and we're going into such a good time on the planet where there's going to be so much abundance and so much joy and so much love. And you're going to want healthy relationships. You're not going to want to be in relationships that are just stagnant, no growth, just, existing in the same orbit, So anyways, it's healthy to have change. It's healthy for things to end. And then, can you grow back? So anyways, I just was thinking about that. And so I wanted to come in and share it. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.